I was talking to a legendary coach in Australia a couple of years ago. He's a legend in rugby union. I'm having a few beers with him and I'm talking to him about his experience. And he said, "Oh, Troy, you told me you played a bit of football." I said, "Yeah, I did." He said, "Tell me about your greatest football game." And I said, "Well, it was a game I was playing against France." I said, "I was a young guy, reasonably big for my age, but I'm packing down against 290-pound angry, smelly, yelling Frenchmen. And these guys they were mean. They would just get down and they'd scream at you in French." I can remember the first time I stood face to face with these guys and I'm kind of going down like this and I'm like, 20, right? I'm a young guy. This guy is a mountain man and he's yelling at me. He's got this face going. And all I could do was stand there and go, "This is going to end badly." And it did. Whack, lights out. Got knocked out. And I'm telling them about this story about how we got absolutely belted on the day. 75 points to nothing. We lost in a screaming flame. And I came off the side of the field and I sat down at the end of the game and I spent 20 minutes taking off my boots. And I slowly put them beside me. And I just sat there and I went, "I've got to remember this. This is extraordinary. This is a feeling of success. This is the feeling of achievement. This is the feeling of accomplishment in the face of defeat." It was my best football game ever. I hadn't just gone beyond the limits. I had gone beyond what I ever thought in my mind I could probably do for 80 minutes of football. And I'm telling this coach the story, and he said, "Do you know why that happened?" He said, "Because I can tell you don't really care for the game." I said, "No, I don't." I said, "I couldn't care. I couldn't care if it was badminton or rugby union. I just happened to enjoy it. I enjoyed the process." And he said, "It wasn't the football that you enjoyed, it was the way you were led." And I said, "Tell me more." And these are the things that are really that stuck in my head about leadership in business. He said, "Here's what your coach did to inspire you. Here's how he got you motivated. He found a way to have you have a sense of belonging. You belonged to a movement. You belonged to something." I said, "Yeah, I did. I had 14 other guys that I knew would take a bullet for me on that field and stand in the road of a 290-pound angry Frenchman so that I didn't take the full hit every single time we walked out into that field." He said, "Yeah, you belong to something." That's what he did. He made you belong to that movement. So that's really interesting. I said, "What else?" He said he also would have given you an element of autonomy. I said, "Explain that." He said, "You had your plays." I said, "Yes, we did." He said, "In your plays, you would know exactly what you're supposed to do." He said, "But when something went wrong on the field, you didn't have time to scream out, 'Hey, coach, what should we do now?' You had seconds, milliseconds to make a decision, and he gave you the autonomy to make those decisions at that moment in time, knowing that you had the ability to pull that off." I said, "Yeah, he did." And he said, "Here's the third thing that he did for you." He said he made you feel that you were proficient at something, that you were good at this, that you were really, really good at this. You were the best you could possibly be. And every day you walked onto the field and you knew you were undermanned, underpowered, underskilled, and overwhelmed. You still went out there feeling bulletproof enough to say, "We're going to give this our best shot. We're really going to give it a go." And I said, "Wow, that's really cool." He said he was an extraordinary coach, and you should really thank him for helping you be the leader you are today. And that's where I made the connection. I went back and I thought, well, how often do I really make my guys belong? How often do I not just send them an email saying good job or send them a text saying good job? How often do I walk across to the other side of the room, go to their desk, tap them on the shoulder and say, "Mate, what a great job. Thank you. Thank you for being part of this team." I thought to myself, how often do I give them the autonomy to make decisions in the field when they're sitting in front of a customer and they've got a quote in front of them and the quote's for $20,000 and the customer says, "I'll give you 19.5. How often do I give them the autonomy to say, "Take the 19.5, we'll do the deal, Jack," as opposed to going, "Let me just call the office, I better go and check on that"? How often do they have that feeling of power, that feeling of being able to represent in that moment? And I started to question myself on that too. And the third piece was I wanted to say, well, how often do I really, really have these guys believe they're the best they can be? How often do I have them believe that they can be even better if they try just a little bit harder, if they just put a little bit more time in, if they just do one little thing differently, if they just stretch themselves a little bit beyond the limits? And I sat back, really hard, cold look at myself and realised that I wasn't a really good leader. I wasn't leading these people. I was threatening them to follow me. They're two entirely different mindsets. So the big shift for me was, if I'm going to inspire these guys, I've got to change the way I present myself, change my presence to these individuals, and look at the great leaders around the world, the Mandelas of the world, the Gandhis of the world, the people who have a movement behind them. They have people there because they want to be part of that movement.